We just want to take this time to talk about a partnership we have now. We're promoting Iron Beard and Oil Balm. Most of the old blokes on this podcast have beards, so why not get some help looking after them? Iron Beards is a local Australian company that makes high-quality beard oils and balm with 100% natural, organic and vegan-friendly ingredients like hemp oil, natural seed oil and argan oil. They offer products like Black Forest Beard Balm, Valhalla Beard Balm and Oil Spice Rum Beard Balm. That's going to be my favourite. Fresh Rain Beard Oil and many more products. They've even got a deodorant and dog nose and paw balm. If you're interested, be sure to check out their Instagram page, all one word, at Iron Beard Oil and Balm. They're Iron Beard Oil and Balm on Instagram to shop for your needs. We just want to take this time to talk about a partnership we have now. We're promoting Iron Beard.
Hey, you know what they say about a good movie? Once you make a good one, you keep repeating it. Today, we have our third installment with Govrn. He is a legend. So we've got our third interview with him we've done with the old blokes. He talks some amazing stuff. Make sure you check out the Instagram pictures for this one. It's phenomenal. And I angle in the interview to try and get a pair of shoes from him. Sit back and enjoy the interview with Govrn. Number 3 is just as good as our first.
Okay, welcome to Old Blokes. I'm here, I'm joined by one of our favourites. He's become almost a regular. We know him as Govrn, but we like to call him Rodell. How are you, my man?
Hey there, how's it going?
Oh, excellent, mate. Thank you for joining us. I think this is like the third time we've spoken, isn't it?
For sure, we've spoken quite a few times, yeah.
Excellent. Oh, no, we love getting you back, and we thank you so much again for spending a bit of time with us, mate. Hey, we always like to ask at this point in time with this, the way everything's going, how is your business and how's things going with the COVID issues that are happening, my man?
Yeah, man, so far everybody's just staying in place. And as far as business goes, you know, I think everybody was more worried about day-to-day, like what their rations are going to be and what their food is. And everybody was kind of like going out and buying stuff. So I think during the national emergency time, that's when everyone started making sure their income, food, safety was priority number one. And I think for any business, unless you were selling things that people needed like that, everybody's business kind of like was kind of going a little bit down. I think after everyone felt a little bit more secure and they understood that, you know, everybody's just staying home and staying in place. And if you wanted to like order food, you could still, everything's kind of still pretty normal. There's just certain precautions that people are taking, social distancing, and you can only take out instead of actually going to eat somewhere. So I think now things are getting a little bit more normalized compared to when the first national emergency started. But as far as for us, it kind of slowed down a little bit during that time of like they actually had the national emergency go on. And then after that, it kind of just picked up, and I think people felt more secure. And we're still accepting orders and business is going on as usual.
That's a good thing, isn't it? It's almost become the new norm. We sort of took us about 4 weeks or so to work out what the hell was going on. It always felt really surreal over here, you know, like, and then all of a sudden, I reckon the last 2 or 3 weeks, people have gone, well, hang on, we just don't know how long this is going to handle or this is going to be available. Let's just start getting back to life. So you talked about your business. Obviously, you took a bit of a hit for a while. So how's it been the last month or so, my man?
Everything's pretty good. I mean, everything kind of jumped back to normal.
Right.
We're still kind of like still getting our orders in and still having to get a lot of shipments out. So thankfully that's still going on, and just blessed to work with people who still want to create sneakers and blessed to like have the opportunity to keep that going.
So we've always talked about some really cool stuff you were working on in the past. What's something you're working on at the moment that's really interesting?
I think at the moment, still taking a lot of client orders, which are always interesting, just for me as a experimenting with something that I might have never done before, and people come with a certain idea. So I think like every project is interesting. Of recent, I think somebody came up with this project that they wanted turf soles on like a bunch of Jordans.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So I started experimenting a little bit with how to alter certain Jordans into baseball and football turf shoes. So that's kind of cool. So there's like new types of shoes that are going to be I'll be taking pictures of and posting soon as well. So that's pretty exciting for me and for anyone who plays sports. That's pretty exciting. As far as golf, we're still running a lot of golf shoes for players and athletes who are still interested in having those produced. I think we have a couple of Jordans, like the Jordan 10 just came out for a cleat, converting a lot of those over into golf. So that's like the new model we're working with right now, which is really cool.
And you did an OBJ, didn't you? Did an OBJ mashup a little while ago?
Yeah, it was cool. I ended up doing that with Mosh, and yeah, he came up with a concept of using that cleat because just how crazy it looked, and then putting a sneaker on it. So that was fantastic. Mosh is amazing customizer as well. He does a lot of paint work, so shout out to him. Probably in paint work, like for sure he's up there with the tops.
So hey, the other thing I wanted to ask you we had down here was, so how's it been sourcing material and that sort of stuff? You know, a lot of the drops have been sort of delayed and there's no lineups anymore. Is it okay? You still being able to get enough stock and everything's okay? Online's working all right?
From what I have noticed, I think now it's just some companies have taken to not have so many workers because obviously social distancing, so they have a certain amount of people working maybe at their warehouses or processing their orders. So I think it is a little slower, but the good thing is that it's not stopped. So even if I ordered something from a brand, and usually even with free shipping, or if they offered maybe like 3 to 4 days, even if you click those options, you're still looking at like maybe 7 to 10 days on a shipment, just for the fact that we know that there's less workers, there's less people processing orders. But the good thing is that it's not like months or kind of like inevitably, you never know when you're going to get something. So that's the good part.
Definitely. I think that's really good. I think, like you said, I think everyone's sort of, it's just a little bit delayed. Everything is a little bit out there. Hey,
Exactly.
give me, I know a little while ago, we did the first Govrn studio release. I've got it in my notes. I wanted you to talk us through that, you know, what it was, how you came about it, and why that was your first studio release.
Oh, right. Yeah. So we ended up doing, so I set for myself a goal that this year I was going to not only work collaboratively with clients, but I was going to try to either do my own collaborations between two pairs of existing shoes. For this one, it was the Jordan 1 low, and it was a Air Max 1 sole. So putting those together, it was kind of like collaboration and concept. We made it in the studio, and then we wanted to release it where we can actually put a full size run, and people could actually just go online, place the order, place it under their size, and then we would be able to take care of everything and have it shipped out. So we wanted to do a lot of those different concepts directly in the studio or work with another brand. And if they wanted to brand their shoe with their logo and have a certain model, and then we can actually purchase all those shoes and convert them into whatever design they wanted, we can actually do a full release run on those. So that was the goal for this year. So going back to that first one that we ended up doing was to kind of like start that goal and to keep it going throughout the year. And the first one was that Jordan 1, and it was the one-on-one Govrn one-on-one. It was the J1 with the Air Max 1 sole, and that one came because obviously the heritage with Nike and Jordan working together. So for me, I've always been into Air Max, and I think we even talked last time. For me, the technology of Air is just something as a little kid got me excited because it was just like a window, and I had no clue what it was for, but I thought it was cool. And seeing that with the Jordan 1, which is the heritage of what Jordan started with, the Jordan 1, and bringing those two between the materials of the canvas, the colors, it was red and white, and the Air Max 1, which started with the red color, the red, white, and gray. So bringing all those kind of concepts that have a kind of a story to them from that brand, putting them together with a concept that we haven't seen Nike produce, but that we wanted to produce. That's kind of how that started initially.
I love them. I think they're fantastic. It's my favorite. Right? You've got both of mine. You've got my Air Max fetish and you've got my Air Jordan fetish jammed into one. And when I saw that studio release in Jan, I was just like, these are amazing. How did it go selling? How did you guys go selling it?
What was that?
How did you go selling that? How did you go getting, what were your orders like with that one?
Oh yeah, the orders, yeah, for any of our projects, we always like try to get like at least like 5 to 10 pairs like made for someone. For this release, it was pretty good for the first concept that we took out. We ended up getting about like I think 15 pairs done. So that's cool because for us, just to even have something produced, kind of like almost manufacturing a certain concept for people, knowing that that one shoe is gone out and it's still pretty exclusive, but there's going to be multiple people wearing that same shoe, it's like an honor for us to create something and have people so excited to buy it, you know?
Yeah. Can people still get that one if they want, like me? If I still wanted that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think like as long as we can source your size and we can get everything, all the materials, I see why not.
12. I'm a size 12, my friend.
Oh, there you go. So I might have to start looking for those things.
I think you should. No. I had a bit of. I like to say I was retired for the first start of the year, but I'd actually left the job and sort of had a bit of time off. So, but now I'm back gainfully employed. I might be in the market for them now. I've always had them on my wish list. So yes, we might be coming back to you for those.
There you go. Let me loan.
No, definitely. Hey, the other one I wanted to talk about that I've got on my list here was another hybrid that I loved. It's back to the Jordan. So you did the Jordan Future with the, I don't know, is it the Mars Yard Inner? Do you remember that? It's a while ago now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tell me
so
about that one. I really love this one too. These are beautiful.
yeah, it was funny. We actually had that concept working in the studio, and we had a Mars Yard with the Future, and it was just like different colors. Though we were just going to use an all white Future sole with the Mars Yard upper, and then coincidentally a client came and he was like, "Hey, I want to put like an ice Future sole on a Mars Yard inner," and I was like, "That's cool. It's possible. We were about to do it, so it's gonna happen." And yeah, so the client came through with the concept and was like, "I'm down to do it." So I put my pairs aside and I was like, "Okay, let's get yours done." And that's how I ended up coming up for the idea and working on it. Was pretty cool because that Mars Yard inner, once it's out, can almost go on any sole.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
So finally someone was like, I don't want the SFB on it. I don't want it to look like a Mars Yard original, like 2.0. And I was like, thank God, like you could put so many things on this shoe that someone finally came up with the idea to put something else. So after that one got made, I ended up making myself the Air Max 1 Mars Yard upper.
Oh,
and I was like, okay, we already made the Future. Like, I don't want to just make the same shoe again. So I ended up putting a Mars Yard upper on a Air Max 1 sole. And that's what I ended up with instead of the Future one, which is kind of a funny story behind that one.
What's that story? Let's hear it. Come on. I'm loving your stories today. They're doing
yeah.
really good.
So it was pretty much that like I was gonna make that same concept that you're talking about. I was gonna make it for myself. I was gonna put a Mars Yard on a Future sole, and then a client came and was like, they wanted the same design. Coincidentally, I ended up making that for a client, and I was like, oh, I don't want to make the same shoe twice. So I ended up kind of like putting the Future sole aside, and I grabbed an Air Max 1, and I was like, look, I'm gonna put this one on an Air Max 1 then. And I ended up making myself a Mars Yard upper on a Air Max 1 sole instead of using the Future how I first planned. Yeah.
That's good to know that a client has the same vision as you. That's very nice, isn't it? It's nice to know you're on the right spot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the cool part. Sometimes I'll be like tinkering with something, and if I put the project aside for a little bit, I start working on client orders, or I start working on a new idea, and I put another idea I had on the side, and then a client will come and be like, I want this done. And I was like, that's perfect. That's the idea I had like a couple months ago, and I just never went through with it. And like now I get to make it for you, and it kind of helps me bring the idea to life, and then help someone else have their concept to reality and wear it every day. So I'm like, that's perfect for me.
It's phenomenal. Hey, we talked a while back. Well, I think it was probably our second chat that we had. You were doing some stuff with Adidas. How did that end up going? Let's circle back to that. Remember you were doing that concept stuff with the NMD for Adidas?
The NMD?
Yeah, didn't you do it? You did an NMD concept for Adidas, yeah? You did some stuff with it? Was it an NMD? Maybe I've got it wrong. No?
I've done a couple concepts with Adidas pairs for sure. I don't remember an NMD, or maybe I brought it up.
Got it wrong. Sorry, maybe I wrote it down. Don't worry, I will stuff up stuff. What was the stuff? So you did a concept for Adidas, yeah?
Yeah, I did a concept that had to do with I think the one that we talked about was this really like crazy concept where I ended up doing like a Sakai boost. And it was like a double layered Ultra Boost sole that kind of like had that waffle Sakai look. And then I ended up doing leather alterations that kind of gave like a double effect on the leather alteration, on the leather patches on top. That pair was the pair that I ended up doing a concept for, using Adidas brands for sure.
How did that go with them? Because I think they were looking at that, weren't they, for a while?
I think I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Sorry.
The one that we ended up I think the one that
so many. You've done so many good ones. It's so hard to remember.
I think the design. I think we didn't personally work with Adidas. We worked with for sure, I know we worked with a couple people who work with Adidas as designers, and that's when we were starting to do a lot of the Ultra Boost Alpha Edge hybrids. So we use the 4D sole, and then that one got into production with Adidas, and they were saying that they might release that this year, but who knows?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if they got it released because of the COVID stuff, or they've just put it on hold. Because I knew you'd work with somebody. So my notes on my handwriting is so terrible. I can't even read my own handwriting most of the time. That's why I was looking at my notes trying to say, hang on, I thought that's what it was. It wasn't that.
Yeah. No, like I'm not sure. There a lot of the samples got like leaked, and people were really excited because I think the pairs that have came out with the 4D technology, they're cool, but I think a lot of people aren't taking to them as much as the Ultra Boost and other models that are exciting for people in the Adidas world. And then finally, they started thinking of putting the Ultra Boost upper on top of the 4D sole, and then that kind of took off, and people were really excited because people had been waiting for that for a while. And a lot of the pairs that we produced for clients were that same exact concept. And Johnny Kicks was the one that ended up doing some of those designs, and we've worked with Cass, who ends up doing a lot of different designs as well. And then we see like the concepts and samples from Adidas. So we never worked with Adidas directly, but I mean, we work with clients who want something, and they obviously market and see what's going to be important to the community. So it's a no-brainer. Like if something hits, like companies are going to pick it up and they're going to make it and produce it, which is good, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about having the sneaker community have a sneaker they want and could attain.
Hey, so what's on the go at the moment? What are you working on at the moment?
At the moment, it was funny. Yeah, I'm actually working on an undefeated Ultra Boost with an Alpha Edge sole that was dyed black. So that's actually something I was working on today. And then I think some of the other projects that had came up that I was trying to tinker with is trying to put a Nike Tailwind 79 on a Pegasus Turbo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of bringing like the athletic, like the vintage athletic to like the new technology of running.
I was going to say, that's old school jammed into new school, definitely. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So we ended up doing a pair for a client. He had an Oceana, Nike Oceana, and it was so cool. It was just like the old vintage runner with new technology for running, and I thought that was amazing. That's kind of like something that when I started doing hybrids, I really look forward to, was always doing like a vintage with a new technology.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? It's getting that, jamming them together. It's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty sure, like as of now, like I haven't seen a lot of Nike shoes that have done like the vintage upper on new technology, other than like kind of what Virgil Abloh has been doing, where he puts like the waffle on top of like a vapor fly street, stuff like that, which is really cool. But then it becomes very scarce too, because it's a Virgil Abloh design.
Yeah.
So I mean, seeing that with other pairs is going to be cool, and maybe Nike will do that eventually as well.
Do you think that's the way to go? And I sort of, I think we touched on it last time. It's the technology, the new technology in the sole, and adding to the old. The vintage at the top is always better, I feel. Like you've just said, the waffle on the bottom is great, but the Pegasus top is amazing. So I think that's the combination, isn't it? It's getting an old top and a new bottom, and you get the really right technology, and you can have something amazing. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where it's at. And then funny that a lot of people do it as well, because I mean, a lot of those old runners they disintegrate, so the foam is just rotten. So then it's like, if you're gonna put another sole on, like why would you not pick something that is from the new technology, something that's gonna be super comfortable and it's gonna last you a long time, and it's from the same brand, but it's just new generation, which is kind of like, the way I see it is kind of like cars. Like, you have like a vintage car, and sometimes people put different motors in it. Yeah, it's like, if you could put something new in it that's faster or better, like why wouldn't you do it if you had the money for it? So go ahead. So it's kind of the same thing with shoes.
It's a really good analogy, because I think in the vintage stuff too, the upper was way better done. There was better quality in the upper, and it was always the bottom, like you were saying, seemed to be the afterthought. And it's really flipped now. You know, the bottom and the technology and the soul and how you run is the bit that people look after. Now it's like we just throw a top on, right? Like, so I think that's
Exactly.
a really awesome way of doing it. Look at you,
Yeah,
you're bringing more knowledge to me every time I talk to you. You always give me some.
yeah. You gassing me up. There was.
No, not at all. No. Like seriously, I walk away going, I always feel way smarter after I talk to you about this stuff. But when we started this, I had no idea you could do it, and now I look at it and go, oh, I've got some ideas for you. Look at that. You've brought me up. You've brought me a long way.
That's good to hear.
The other thing I noticed, you know, like I'm always checking your stuff out. There's always a lot of golf, isn't there? There's always a lot of people want to do golf shoes. What do you reckon that's about?
I think for one, there's just a large golf community, and actually, yeah, I was talking to Eastside Golf recently too, and they're doing this new generation in golf, diversity and culture that's coming into the new wave of golf. And in the United States, you know, with people of color and just people from different cultural backgrounds that are now starting to come into the wave of golfing more and more. And I think golf in general, like Koepka said, like it's a lot of like older white guys aren't going to understand it because that's not their part of their culture.
Sure.
So right now, the cool thing is that you are having people who are in the sneaker culture that come from a different that could be from a different culture outside of what's usually in the golf community, and now they're the ones that want to be in that presence, and they don't want to wear like a certain style of shoe. Like they don't want to wear like a dress style golf shoe. They want to wear like Jordans, or they want to wear like Air Max, or they want to wear like some Ultra Boost, like something that is more common in the younger generation, new wave of golfers. And right now, I mean, if you look at some of the brands, they have nothing that kind of that goes to that taste. I think Nike now is starting to pick up on it, and they're doing a lot of Jordan golf shoes. Adidas is doing a little bit more with like their Ultra Boost to make it into golf shoes. So the wave is coming up, and I just feel a lot of people are inquiring about it because the market itself doesn't have everything needed to support their want in a sneaker golf shoe.
No, it's exactly right. I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think it's that cultural thing, right? I think it's that, you know, people who play golf now don't want to. Some of the golf shoes in the old days, and even Nike has touched on a little. They've got a bit better, but they're just horrible, right? It's that hard leather, really hard sole. You have to wear these. They've got a runner style, but yeah, what you were saying, it just makes so good sense. Right now, people have a sneaker style when they play basketball. They want a sneaker style when they play golf.
Exactly. Yeah. For anything like being a sneaker for basketball, or just running, or just like culture for like lifestyle. You don't see that in golf as much anymore. Well, ever. But I think now I'm hoping that like what we do is super like grassroots, because we get it straight from the sneaker community. We get it straight from a client who knows what they want, and we hope that the brands look at it as a way for them to look into what people want. Like if you see so many of these golf shoes coming out,
Definitely,
by all means, like you should produce them, because there's a whole generation that's going to come and buy those shoes once they're available. And we look forward to that. We hope that like companies like Malbon and Eastside Golf and ourselves that have this new twist on golf can make that present, so then brands could like listen and see it, and then actually have products that kind of reflect that.
Yeah, and it's almost like that. Like you said, it's a really good point. That grassroots conceptual, right? That's where things happen. You know, like if we go back to, you know, he's been all over the news in The Last Dance when he wore those Jordan 1s, they were red and black, right? No one had ever wore anything like that playing basketball. It was, someone needs to go first. And I think if I'm out on the golf course and I see someone in a pair of Jordan 4s or, you know, some amazing Jordans, I'm going to want a pair. I think that's the piece, and I think you're really right. I think that's something that Eastside would be the one. We need to get you hooked up with them properly, mate. We need to get you into them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully something comes out of that, because for any brand or company that is coming up or has already started up, it doesn't matter. If you have that same like presence or vibe, there's no way that like we wouldn't enjoy working with that.
Hey, well, once again, You have been so generous with your time, and thank you so much. We would love to circle back in a couple of months, as always, and talk to you about some more stuff. Hopefully, COVID's done, and we can get you up, and you can working amazingly. So, thank you again, my man, for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Anytime, and we will definitely be in touch.
No doubt. I look forward to it.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a bunch.